my book that I purchased from Amazon, a resource from Khan Academy, which was free, and a resource from YouTube, NavaEd, who is also known as Kathleen Jasper, and that was free as well. However, I will say that Kathleen Jasper, her YouTube channel, she does have sources that you have to purchase, so just be mindful of that. And I didn't purchase any, I just watched her YouTube videos. That's all I pretty much did. So in terms of my studying, my process would be me reading this book and answering the practice questions that are throughout. Now in this book you have several concepts, and after each concept you have sample questions, and if you get those correct or incorrect, doesn't really matter. What I would do is, if I got anything incorrect, I would put an X on the number of the question, and then I would put an X on what I selected and circle the correct answer. And I think this is helpful for just coming to an understanding of why you got the answer wrong, and just learning what your possible weaknesses could be. So after I would practice a certain concept, I would then move on to Khan Academy, which is the free resources I mentioned before. Now these are certified practice tests that Khan Academy literally partnered with ETS, which is who provides the Praxis Core test. So I knew then and there, these tests are very these questions are very similar, and these concepts are very similar to what will actually be on the actual test. So I definitely took notes either way on all resources, definitely, and practiced. So that was what I would do. After Khan Academy, I would head on over to YouTube to sharpen whatever skills that I acquired while reading the book and going on Khan Academy. So now I wanted to talk about my testing. So I did my testing at home. This was my choice, being that I'm not enrolled in any college or university while I was preparing for the test, and also because I just wanted to quickly take the test with as less anxiety as possible. So I didn't want to have to worry about going to a place, having to show my ID, having to sit in a room, not knowing the temperature of the room. It's just so many things that go into testing. So I tested at home in my bedroom. I have an office area in my bedroom, so it worked out perfectly fine. I tested in the mornings, and I feel like that's when I'm most productive, I guess you can say, and just when I'm able to stay on task. So I would test at about 10:30, 10:40 a.m. And I would wake up at like 7:30, 8 o'clock, eat some breakfast, and just touch up on any skills that I feel like I'm struggling with, things I know that I still need extra help with. And then I would take a small mini break, and then I would test. And that just worked out for me. I just wanted to put that out there. If anybody had any questions about what times I tested, it doesn't really matter, I don't believe. I think you should test when you're most productive and when you feel like you can have less distractions as possible. I didn't have to take off of work at any time because I took all my tests on like a Sunday, I believe. I think I did take my writing test on a Thursday. I mean, not my writing, my math test on a Thursday. So just take it whenever it's most convenient for you. I took my test individually, and this was my choice because, like I said before, less distractions, less anxiety, and I just did not want to have to bundle up 5 hours of my time. I felt like that would be completely exhausting. I felt like doing it piece by piece would be more helpful for me and just give me a chill break when it comes to studying, okay? So I took my reading in August, my writing in November, and my math in December. Now, of course, my reading and my writing, those tests were about 3 months apart because I was pretty nervous about taking my writing and my math test. That was the one I was most nervous about. My reading, I got 196. I will say that I was pretty much shocked after taking that test and getting my score. I got it immediately after taking it, like an unofficial score. And I was shocked because while I was taking the test, it seemed so hard, and it seemed like I just couldn't get a grasp of like the questions. The questions were simply straightforward. Ask you a question, you go in an article and you find it. So, I don't know. I just was a little bit anxious, especially it was my first experience taking the test. And then my writing, I got 172. And I got my results about 2 weeks later, and that was because I had a constructed response. I had to write 2 essays, and an actual real human being has to actually go back and read what you wrote. So it will take a little bit of time, and that 2 weeks was really harsh. Like, I was so nervous because I was like, this is just, like, I have to get 162. That's the minimum. It's the highest minimum out of all 3 Praxis Core tests. And I have read online people have failed it by a small amount of points. I just didn't want that for myself. But I passed it by 10 points. And I'm so thankful for that. Then my math, I got 180. And my unofficial score did not change. And I did not care about my score on math. And I'll tell you this. And it's because of the exemption that if you get a 468 on your composite score, then you won't even have to worry about your individual score. So by the time I took my reading and my writing, I had a 378, I think I had. So, or 368. So whatever I got on my math wouldn't matter because my cumulative score altogether would have been a 468 or higher. So I will say just some tips and advice for people. Get sleep. Make sure you're comfortable. And I said this because I have had times where I've taken tests and it's just been too cold in the room, too hot, just people making noises and I couldn't focus. So just make sure you're in an environment that you can thrive in as well. In my house, my mom, she plays her TV pretty loudly, so it kind of distracts me sometimes when I have schoolwork to do. So in order to prevent being distracted, I told her, hey, please, no TV. I want it absolutely quiet in the house, and she was very understanding, and I really appreciate her as a mother as well because she sat there in silence for as long as I took on each test quietly, and she did not bother me at all during the test. She didn't interrupt me. So just have yourself in a great environment. Study. Even if you think you know everything, you just came out of high school, you never know. Study. There are people who miss their minimum score by 2 points and have to literally retake it. And I didn't experience that, thankfully, but just know that it happens. So you don't want that to be you. You don't want it to be somebody you know. So just encourage people to study. It does not take that much to sit down and look through a book, look through Khan Academy, write down notes, do some practice questions. It doesn't take that long. And I guarantee you, I've taken 3 tests. I know. So, and lastly, I will say, know that you're capable. This test is effective 2014 in terms of it being required in order to get into the teacher education program, unless you're exempt from it. So it's been there for years, and there are constantly new teachers being in the teaching field. So there are people who are capable of doing it. If somebody else can do it, you can do it too. Okay? So don't underestimate yourself. And I had to keep telling myself that. Don't underestimate yourself, your abilities, whatsoever. Now, what I also will mention is that I definitely went on Reddit a couple times just to get gist of people's experiences. I did go on YouTube, which is why I'm creating this video as well, because on YouTube the videos are scarce, or I think, is it scarce or scarce? Scarce. I'll say scarce. And there aren't many people speaking about their experiences with the Praxis Core, and I wanted to be someone else who spoke about their experience. But Reddit is a good one too if you want to look up someone else's experiences, like the unofficial score. You want to see more of what people have said about that, just if they passed the first time. I think it will encourage you. Like, I remember reading on Reddit, someone said it was easy. Going into the test, I was like, this is not going to be that bad. It just gave me positivity, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, so if you can get any other help, I know if you're in at a university, they do have classes that prepare you for the Praxis Core. Take those. I didn't have an opportunity to do so, which is why I went so hard with my resources. But yes, thank you so much if you're a watcher. I believe in you. Your parents believe in you. Your family believes in you. Your friends believe in you. You are capable of completing this test. passing it and moving forward in your teaching journey. Okay? Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, fantastic testing experience. And remember, you're capable.